G'day, it's Lindsay Waddington, and today we've got one of the best musicians this country's ever produced, I can tell you. He's played on some of the most famous tracks with the most famous artists we've got. It's really great to have him in the studio today, Mr Lawrie Minson.
Yeah,
how you going, mate?
Yeah, really good to be here, and just happy to still be able to do what I do.
We are too. Still helping a lot of artists in the studio and that. We're very proud to have you a part of LWM here and on our projects. Been a long time now.
Well, I haven't really been counting, but...
23.
Is it that long, 23 years?
Yeah, no, I think it's only 24, 25.
It's certainly a body of work there, and long-term work relationship and also friendship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Well, this fella here, I can tell you, he started off in Australia. For the people around the world watching, I would say Slim Dusty was probably like our Elvis Presley.
Sure.
Everybody knows, household name.
Sure.
You toured with the great
Slim,
man himself and become mates with the family?
Yeah, that's right. Slim was, well, he'd been on the road for a long time, even when I was young. I started up, I was just in my early 20s when I joined the show, and he was going into the studio. I moved to Sydney. I'm from Tamworth, in rural New South Wales. So when I got the job, I moved to, as Rod Coe, I should get credit actually for lining that up for me, and moved to Sydney, and I was living in a place that Slim owned. And we did 3 weeks rehearsal, which was unheard of for a country artist, to actually get paid rehearsal for 3 weeks. But the plan was 2 years, lots of touring. And then the first gig, we played it's called the Patriotic Show in Canberra, and there was just an enormous amount of people. It's like 60,000 people or something. It was just, you couldn't get in.
Sounds like one of my gigs.
They flew Slim in a chopper. Because there's just so many people there, you couldn't get in.
He's a rock star.
And that's what I thought. It was like, wow, that was my first gig. And then from there, we came up to a club, Twin Towns, at Tweed Heads, and we even did matinees. I mean, we did a whole week of all sold out shows, and on the weekends, matinee an afternoon show, and it was just one thing after the other. But what I'm getting at is that Slim, one of the reasons that he gave me the gig was because I played this instrument, and I could play a bit of guitar. I was just learning harmonica, actually, so credit Slim. I mean, that's another story, but it was kind of Slim who got me started playing the harmonica kind of seriously. And because Slim at that stage had been recording for a long time with EMI, and we went into EMI, which at the time was in Castlereagh Street in Sydney, and this would be 1981. And this was my first recording session with Slim, but it was his 49th album at that stage. And we had this song, Where Country Is, and Charlie Boyder, who'd been playing guitar with Slim there for a while, had this little sort of signature lick thing, and for some reason they thought it would sound better on this instrument, on the Dobro, and so Charlie just said, look, it's pretty easy, and it's just a... And that was it. It was really just such a simple little lick.
But did you know that lick, though, Lawrie, is one of the most identifiable guitar licks, like Leave Him in the Long Yard, Camel Wheel, Gidgee Coles, Country Revival. Sure. And if you don't play that in that song, it's not that song.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah. It's in America, they'd call it a hit lick, but it's something, quite right. It's so identified with the song that it wouldn't be right. And even years later, Lee Kernaghan did a cover version of it, and of course I had to do that again. And a few other people have done versions. So at the time, I was young. I'd been playing this instrument for a few years, but not a long time. but it really didn't sort of have. You can't look into the future. You just don't know that some of these things are just going to take on a life of their own. And then, so that album came out. It was called Where Country Is. That was the title track of the album, the song. And then, of course, they got to number 50, and so EMI put out a best of. It was called the Golden Anniversary album.
Yeah. Was that the white one?
That's white.
Yeah, with the hat and the guitar neck?
The hat and the guitar neck,
yeah.
And so, really, it was a greatest hits release. And straight off the shelf, it just sold 120,000 albums.
Holy smackers.
Just went gold and platinum and whatever else. And for a country kid, for me, it was like, you've arrived, this is the big time. This guy's the biggest, I'll say guy. He hated the word guy. He reckoned it was really American.
Yeah, not Australian.
So, sorry, any Dusty fans out there for that. But for me, it was just quite a big step up.
Yeah.
From what I was used to.
So that lick in that session, though, that was the instrument.
This actual instrument, yeah. I bought this on my first tour. I'd been travelling around with Buddy Williams in 1979. And we were on the back end of the tour. We were in Cairns. We had 6 weeks to go to get back to Tamworth. And I'd saved up $500. I was going to go to America.
Yeah.
And this was hanging on the wall in this shop, like that. And I just walked past it and I just did this. One strum.
And you've got to have it.
And just handed over all this money that I'd saved up. And so the idea of moving to America or visiting or whatever, that all went out the window. But I've had that instrument, and I was saying, working it out, it's like almost 50 years or something, and it was made in the 1930s, so it was old even when I bought it. But it's actually become part of the sound that's identified with Australian traditional country music.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah,
it is.
This instrument.
I've had a lot of people say that, like it's also your hands and that and your playing, obviously, and your brain too, because Buddy Williams was another big name you started with in bush balladry and Australian storytelling. So you go to Slim, same instrument, but when I suppose you use the same instrument and you understand that music and you're an Australian yourself, it's probably got an accent itself. You know how they say with singing? The voice of that's probably an Australian accent now. You know.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought of it like that, but it just becomes so associated with Australian traditional music that I wouldn't say that, and the way I play is part of that, because all my influences have sort of been shaped by a lot of the people that I've worked with. So you're quite right. I mean, in different hands, completely different sound.
100%. What do you use there, Loz? Like your finger picks, just for the people out there wanting to learn Dobro and get going?
Yeah, look, it's got a high action, it's got a square neck, so it can only be played in what they call lap style. Came out of the old Hawaiian sort of era, and it's just a couple of metal picks there, and I just have a plastic pick there. It's mainly just to get it loud. Is if you play it without the picks, it's sort of quiet. So it's
get a real zing like that.
it just makes it louder and have a bit more punch. And then you just have a slide. Over the years, the design of this has been really improved. This one is a Jim Dunlop lapdog, and it's very good. But I originally learnt with the old style where the sort of bending stuff, No, you've got to do it like this. So, that was the real old-timey sort of style that I
Give us a yodel on it.
It's the yodeling.
Yeah,
that's right. It is. It's the old Jimmy Rogers yodel. If they're on waiting for a train, the old Jimmy Rogers. And you can do it. but
Yeah.
you've got to do a different slide. So sometimes if you want that continuity, you've got to stay on the same string, so which means you've got to sort of bend the slide around to do that. But that's how I learned, as a kid. I was 15, 16 years old. And the sound has changed over the years. Plus I've been to India in amongst all that, so you get a lot of those little trills and things, and that sort of gets absorbed into the sound as well. But yeah, it's sort of stood by me, the best $500 ever spent, I think.
Bloody oath. We're talking to Lawrie Minson, and this man has got the most famous Dobro lick out of Australia, I reckon. Something that really surprised me finding out later on, that another huge name and a great person, and I've got to say it was only not long ago you got me backstage to meet Jimmy Barnes.
Exactly, that's right.
What energy that man brings to a performance, and what a lovely bloke too. I only met him for 5 minutes, very busy fella, but you can tell there's a real
Big
generosity. Yeah, good fella.
Oh, sorry, I just belted that mic.
you see you'd love to spend more time with him, but you played a pretty important lick on Dobro.
Yeah.
And people would be surprised to probably know that because Barnesy's full on.
Yeah, I did a couple of gigs with Don Walker, who was a piano player from Colchester, and Don had recommended me, and Jimmy Barnes had an idea to do, he just finished like some of those Soul Deep and that kind of stuff, and he was just sort of trying different genres and different styles, and he wanted to do an acoustic, kind of country but acoustic, ritzy folk sort of style recording, which ended up being called Flesh and Wood in 1994, I'm pretty sure. And so I got the call, ended up down at Barrel, down at their house and their studio down there, and we'd just work on one song a day. And I brought down this old girl, and then I had another sort of national style slide, and then some harmonicas and different things.
Like a round neck one.
Yeah, round neck, and played like bottleneck style.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an old sort of national, quite a different sound to this. But Jimmy really loved the sound of this instrument, and the first song that we did, and I think it's track 1 on Flesh and Wood's called "It'll Be Alright." It's a song he wrote with Jeff Neal, who was his guitar player at the time, Canadian, very good guitar player from Canada. A lot of the time when I do these sessions, I have no preconceived idea of how these songs were supposed to go. I mean, this was an original, but even Flame Trees, like I just an admission, sorry Jimmy, but because I'd been playing in country bands and I'd been out in the bush, and I might have heard it on the radio, but I'd never played in cover bands. So I'd never played these songs. But looking back now,
Probably helped.
It sort of gave me an advantage because I just played how I interpreted the song, and rather than being influenced by the cultures or versions or that type of thing. So I came up with my own take on these songs. And so with It'll Be Alright, this song of Jimmy's and Jeff, the intro just came up like... It's more or less just the melody of the song.
Yeah.
But it just cuts through, and as soon as you hear, there's that song. And yeah, that's true. There have been friends of mine years and years later that have come up and say, was that you that played on that Jimmy Barnes? Because, you don't sort of walk around with it on your,
I would. Hand on me back.
And it's sort of like, that's, I've been around a while, It's stuff that I've done. So anyway, that's, but same thing, this instrument, it's really stood by me, and being able to be involved in some big recordings, and also just a lot of sessions in general. It's just hundreds and hundreds of songs out there that this instrument in particular has been a part of.
Does it become a thing, Loz, the tone, the feel of it, when you play a lick? If, like, I know I've got 2 Dobros there, and one was your father's, which is very special. Yeah. But if you picked them up and played the song, you'd probably play them a little bit differently, wouldn't you? Like that one there, there's something over all those years that would just happen.
Yeah, that's true.
It is?
Yeah, absolutely. As a bond, actually. It's and same when I play harmonica. There's a bond there between you and the instrument where you just sort of go into a zone where there's a bit of a grey area between what's happening in your brain and what's coming out of the fingers and what's coming off the instrument. It starts to sort of all kind of become this. I think because you mentally put yourself into a zone where you're not really thinking about anything else. I think that's probably what it is that you just become so focused. Plus, there's a familiarity. You know how this thing's going to behave, how hard you hit it.
Yeah.
The frets, the neck is just so gone that you just have to play by ear. Like you put that there, that's supposed to be a C, and it won't be.
Just there, you're just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, the whole neck is just sort of bent up. So it's like surfing all the time, sort of just correcting all the time. But yeah, no, you're quite right. It's familiarity and being able to focus and getting, whether you want it to bite, whether you want it to be sweet and smooth sounding. There's so many nuances attached to it. But yeah, there you go. And I'll pick up. Oh, that's from a Vox bass guitar from the 60s, which sort of works. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
But even that's affected how this thing sounds because I can only play there or there. I can't play there.
Yeah, of course.
So I can only sort of get it brighter there or more mellow over there.
I gotcha.
I probably should have gotten rid of it, but anyway, that's because you play here. Sweet, and then you go back here. It's like a tone control, yeah.
Well, it's nearly like a gauge, a capo.
Yeah, it helps with tell where I'm going. There's a bit of white out on some of those frets just so I can tell where I'm going.
It's fantastic. There's many more licks and many more famous solos, I can tell you, but there's just a couple of big heavyweights in the world of music here in Australia that Lawrie's featured on this instrument, the Dobro. Good on you, mate. Thanks for coming along today.
Thank you, pleasure.
Thank you. When I grow up, I want to be Lawrie Minson.